What's going on, guys? It's AG here. So recently in the community, I've been putting out a lot of questions, like one a day, as far as, do you think this team can make the college football playoff this season? Yes or no? So one of the recent ones, Notre Dame, and I'll be going down the list. I'll be talking about all these throughout the upcoming days. But today I want to focus on Notre Dame. All right, so I asked you, will Notre Dame make the college football playoff this season? 31% of you said yes. 69% of you, nice, said no. All right, so we got some comments on that. We'll get to this in a second. But Notre Dame, before we get on and look at their schedule, look at the comments, what do you think? Let me know down in the comment section before we look at the schedule, then let me know after we look at the schedule. But what do you think? Can they make the college football playoff this season, and why? All right, first off, let's look at the comments, then I'll kind of tell you my thoughts on it. All right, so we've got one comment from Gino Bling. Of course they're making it. They don't play anybody worth a dang. Fair point. All right, they kind of have a favorable schedule. We'll get to that in a second. And I think that could hurt them in the long run because they don't really play a tough schedule. So if, let's say they do drop one of those games, if they lose that game, they're going to need that team they lose to be really good for them to kind of make the playoff, to make their resume look better. Now, with the new expanded playoff, you can probably lose 2 or 3 games and be fine when it comes to making the playoff. But depending on who you lose to, it could hurt you. All right, next comment we've got from Christian Fernandez. In my opinion, I'm leaning towards no. Last year they had an ACC quarterback in Sam Hartman, really good. They again have an ACC quarterback in Riley Leonard. They'll be a very good team, no doubt, but in my opinion, they're overrated. There's a reason. As a Louisville fan, we can definitely beat the Irish at their home stadium. Louisville has played against Riley Leonard in the ACC, and they dominated him. I predict the Cards will potentially do the same thing. All right, so I can definitely see what he's saying here. You brought in Sam Hartman, which was kind of heralded as like the savior, all-ACC passing type of quarterback, which he was really good at Wake Forest, but once he got to Notre Dame, he was kind of And then you've got Riley Leonard on the other hand. I think he's really good. Already had Duke make the top 25 last year. And with Riley Leonard, they were probably a top 15 team, talking about Duke, but he's very injury prone, so I'm a little questionable on if he can last through the season. Next comment, we've got Pop Freezer. Not sure if they're that overrated. They could have beaten OSU, talking about Ohio State last year. They're still a great team. I agree with that. All right, you look at it, Ohio State was kind of borderline playoff team themselves. Notre Dame should have beat them. They really screwed up that last drive. They kind of let Ohio State march down the field and score on them. Notre Dame screwed that up. They should have beat Ohio State. So that's kind of another question I want to pose to you all while we move along. Is Marcus Freeman on the hot seat? Should he be? Is he the guy for Notre Dame? What do you think? I kind of have some question marks about it myself. All right, then last but not least here we have Gamer D. He says overrated. That's up for debate. All right, a lot of people will say they're overrated every year because once they get to the playoff, they usually get dominated, But let's look at their schedule real quick, then I'll tell you my thoughts. All right, so as far as can they make the playoff? So like I said, I think if they lose, depending on who they lose to, obviously, if they lost 2 of these games, I still think they could make the playoff. But looking at their schedule, losable games, you've got Texas A&M. I think they'll beat Texas A&M, but you've got a weird matchup there. Riley Leonard goes to Notre Dame from Duke as their quarterback. Texas A&M's new head coach is from Duke as well, Mike Elko. How's that matchup going to be? I think Notre Dame's more talented. A&M kind of lost a lot after they got rid of Jimbo Fisher. But that's going to be an interesting matchup. I think they'll win it, but that could be losable. Northern Illinois, no problem. Purdue, no problem. Miami of Ohio, no problem. Then we get to Louisville. All right, Louisville beat them last year. I think Louisville is improved from last season. Now, they did make the ACC championship, but I think Louisville's improved. Jeff Brom's really done good things with that roster. Brought in a lot of pieces from the transfer portal. I think their offense will be explosive. I have that as a coin flip game right now. And really, when it comes to Notre Dame, they were probably the team I'm most split on when it comes to the college football playoff. I'm about 50-50 with them right now. I had them in my original way too early predictions. Moved up to now about a month ago. I did a still too early predictions for the college football playoff. I moved them out. They're the only team I dropped out. So I've got question marks on them because, like I said, the question is if they lose one of these games, they need that other team that they lose to go undefeated almost to kind of make the schedule look better. But as far as so far, Texas A&M, I think that's winnable, but Louisville's another game they could lose. Stanford, no problem. Georgia Tech, all right, I don't think they'll have issues with Georgia Tech, but Georgia Tech's actually not bad. They've got Haynes King at quarterback. Haynes King, he did a really good job last season, really good dual threat guy, formerly of Texas A&M. They kind of gave Georgia a run in that last game of the regular season. I think this game could give Notre Dame some issues, but that's another losable one, but I think they'll win it. Navy, they'll win that one, no problem. Then we get to Florida State. All right, similar to Louisville. I probably put Florida State and Louisville kind of on that same tier right now. Florida State probably a little more talented. I would say Florida State's roster, honestly, is probably more talented than Notre Dame. So that's one I think they definitely could lose. Would not be shocked there. Then we've got Virginia. They win that one, no problem. Army, they win that one, no problem. Then you've got closing the season with USC. All right, Caleb Williams is gone. You've got Miller Moss at quarterback. Lincoln Riley, how's he going to look? They're going to be through a Big Ten schedule. USC's kind of going to be beat up. I think Notre Dame beats them, but again, that's almost a coin flip as well. So I think there's probably 4 games on here they could lose. USC, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Louisville, and Texas A&M. So make that 5. But I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm kind of 50-50 on Notre Dame. I think they could make the playoff. I think they couldn't. I think if they lose 2 of these games, they're out. I think you can lose one of those games. You can lose to Louisville or Florida State and probably USC and be fine. I don't think Texas A&M will be good enough. But I think you can lose one of those 3 games and be fine. But if you lose 2, I think they're in trouble. But I want to ask you guys, all right, to close it out. What do you think? Will Notre Dame make the college football playoff or not this season? Let me know. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video. And most importantly, subscribe.